Whether you're already living in Hawaii or moving to Hawaii and you've got a big decision ahead of you with that alone, right? And now we're gonna talk about the next probably biggest decision ever in your life, which is buying a home. A lot of times people get out here and they wanna rent first, get a feel for the island, but we have people that do move out here and they go ahead and buy right away as well. And then we've got people that have lived here forever and then they're still renting and paying other people and putting money in other people's pockets, right? Obviously that sounds kind of negative already, but we're actually going to get into the pros and cons of renting versus buying a home out here in Hawaii. So stay tuned, we got a good one. What's going on, you guys? My name is Ryan Strong. I'm a real estate agent out here in Hawaii, and if you're new to this channel is all about living in Hawaii, everything, the truth about living in Hawaii, not just a fluff it up channel. We got the pros and cons, we've got cost of living videos, we got videos, vlog tours in the communities where you actually get to see the communities and not just some of the beautiful homes, everything that is going on out here. So if you're new, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can stay notified every time I post a new video on this channel and you want to get those notifications. Also guys, I get people calling, texting, emailing me, even Zoom calls. I got Zoom, you can schedule your own Zoom down in the description below. Just had a couple calls today and I love getting those calls. I absolutely love it when people are reaching out about their move to Hawaii, or if they're already living here and they're looking for a real estate agent to help them purchase a home. So if you're moving to Hawaii, go ahead and give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, however you want to get a hold of me, all right? I got your back when making that move to Hawaii. All right, again, so whether you're already living here on the islands or you're making that move to the islands, then you're considering buying a home. You're paying rent, or you're thinking about renting for your first little bit here, which is perfectly okay. Let's talk about that situation. This is a very common situation. People will often move here and rent for anywhere from a month to 6 months to that first year of them living on the islands, Oahu, Maui, wherever it may be, to get a feel for the island, get a feel for the community, especially their job and the commute to their job if they're moving here for work, and also the style of living. Because like I've said in many of my other videos, and if you watch some of the vlog tours, living in Waikiki, downtown Honolulu, all these areas over there versus living next door in Hawaii Kai versus living all the way out in Kapolei. Very, very different style of living, especially if you're going up to Haleiwa, North Shore type of stuff. Okay, very different styles of living. And so these also make a difference when you're considering renting, buying, and again, your overall lifestyle, because that's the goal here really, is to find what fits your lifestyle and your long-term goals. We have these conversations on our Zoom calls. Are you looking to rent? Okay, where do you want to look to rent? And if you are looking to buy later on, let's talk about that investment vehicle for you, right? So these types of things. But again, we're going to start to lay out the pros and cons of renting versus buying out here in Hawaii. And we're going to go ahead and start with the average price to rent a home. And as of 2021, we're at the end of May. It is roughly around $2,200 average price to rent a home. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pull that up for you so you can see that data. I'm a real estate agent again, so I can see inside the MLS and all this data that we have inside the MLS available to us. Okay, around $2,200 to rent. And again, that's from top to bottom. That's not necessarily like your baseline. Okay, you're not gonna come here and rent a 5,000 square foot home for $2,200, and you're not gonna probably come and pay $2,200 for a 500 square foot studio. Probably not gonna happen, all right? These things fluctuate. That is the average, okay? And just to give you a little bit of an example, my own personal example, my family, my wife, my 2 boys, and our dogs, we all lived in a 744 square foot townhome condo in Kapolei. We did have a yard. We were on the bottom floor, and we paid $2,000 a month to rent out that townhome. So just to give you a little bit of an idea. So I definitely know what you're thinking as far as size, space, money, right? That was very compact, okay? We're not in that situation anymore, But again, I come from speaking from the pain and the experience of doing that. And not everybody's in the position to buy right now, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Moving out here to get a feel for where you really want to be for you and your family, I 100% agree with doing that, okay? But if you are in a position to buy and start that investment vehicle and putting equity into your pockets, then go ahead and do that. And I'm jumping the gun here because I just gave you an example, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull up a screen here though, and we're gonna talk about some of the areas on the islands. So like I mentioned, in the map here, you're gonna see basically if we're looking at Hawaii Kai, which is all the way on the east side, versus out here Ewa Kapolei versus Mililani versus North Shore, and then we got Kailua Kaneohe areas, okay? Rent differentiates from all these areas. I mentioned that I was paying $2,000 for that, $2,000 a month for that home over in Kapolei. That same 744 square foot style home may be a little bit more expensive out there in Hawaii Kai, which is all the way on the east side, okay? So again, same thing for Kailua Kaneohe. Same 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 744 square feet, but I had the downstairs unit with a yard, which was big for me because we have dogs, right? That may be even more expensive over in Kailua and Kaneohe, depending, okay? These are things you gotta look into. So now let's go ahead and we're gonna talk about some of the pros and cons of renting versus buying, so you can see basically versus like if you're, you know, if you're a solo individual moving out here, if you're moving out here with your spouse, if you're moving out here with your family, what's going on out here and what you can expect. We're gonna kick this off with renting, okay? Let's talk about some of the pros and cons versus renting, all right? Pro number one, you can move without penalty each time your lease ends, right? You're only obligated to the lease that you sign, and once that lease ends, you can move freely and go find another place to live, okay? The con to that is you not having ownership of the property that you are living in, and therefore your landlord could decide to sell, or your landlord could decide to increase the rent, which they have to give you notice on. All right, and so that's one of the cons of not owning the property that you live in and being able, or being a renter and being able to move freely at the end of your lease to seek something cheaper on a monthly payment or more expensive. One of the pros of renting is that you know exactly how much you're going to be paying every month, okay? If we talk about being, you know, home ownership and the things that come with home ownership, some unexpected things can come up that you may have to pay for. Plumbing, roofing, electrical, things structural, anything that happens with the house, because you are the homeowner, you are obligated to have these things repaired for your tenant. It has to be livable conditions for your tenant. You are obligated to fix these things for your tenant as the homeowner. As the renter, and this happened again in the same place that we were living before, I don't even know how, like, it was weird. I think a ball might have hit the window and we had a hole in our window. And I call up, you know, hey, we got a hole in the window, this needs to be fixed. And how did it happen? We honestly don't even know, and that was weird. But we had a hole, and so they had a guy come out and replace the window. That was an expense to the homeowner and not us as the renter. All right, other things, plumbing, hey, the garbage disposal isn't draining or getting rid of all the food and stuff in it, or it seems clogged and it's not working properly. Expense to the homeowner. They gotta call, you know, their handyman or whoever it might be, plumber, to come out and fix the problem that is inside the home. So as a renter, as long as it's something that, you know, you didn't personally do like on purpose like that, and it's just wear and tear and stuff like that, again, homeowner obligated to take care of. As a renter, you don't really have to worry about updating your home, as we were just talking about with equity and value. Updating the home isn't necessarily your, you know, your problem. You don't have to take care of that. You just have to keep and maintain the living conditions of the home. As a homeowner, they're gonna want to make sure that the home is updated on a consistent basis to keep the value or keep increasing the value of the home. But as a renter, again, not your obligation. So that covers some of the pros and cons versus renting. Like we mentioned, the average price of rent currently at the end of May, and according to the MLS, was around approximately $2,200 a month. Now, again, I gave you some perspective on a home that I lived in some of the areas. If you're considering renting a condo townhome style, again, anywhere from $2,000 and up, And then if you're looking for a single family home style, standalone single family, not attached, you can be expecting anywhere from $3,000 and up. It all depends on the area, of course. But then we often have college students moving here looking for room rentals, right? Which is very common out here. Move into somebody else's bigger house and just rent out the space in that house. We've seen those anywhere from $800 to $1,100 if you're renting out a room in a bigger house like that. I'm not suggesting that. You always need to do your due diligence if you are going that route, or you can find your own place to rent, okay? Now let's get into if you are looking to make the move out here and start building your investment vehicles for your future and buying a home. Buying a home is different out here in Hawaii. We have just a different way of doing things, a different style of doing things, especially if you're looking to buy a new home, which we have a lottery process for. Yes, you actually have to win the lottery for that home. You cannot just come out here and buy a new home because you want to. Doesn't work like that in some of these newer developer communities. That's a whole other video that we're gonna talk about. We're actually gonna get into some of the benefits of home ownership out here right now. Going back to what we talked about with value increasing in equity. On average, okay, on average, we typically see homes values increase around 3.4% annually. That means every year the value of homes has been increasing roughly around 3.4% annually. There are variables and other factors that come into this equation. That is not a guarantee by any means because the market can change. It always does, okay? But that's what we typically see out here. And when you put that into perspective and you start thinking about the concept, we live on an island. We are not in some massive state attached to other states that you can easily just drive and go move to. We live on an island. There's only so much space, okay? And this is driving prices higher and higher. And unfortunately, it's driving a lot of people out of the market, which is what's happening right now in 2021. But let's talk about the pros of home ownership with, again, starting with the value going up roughly 3.4% annually. And it's just been even more massive in 2021. Again, I think it's roughly around a 13% increase in the average sale price. That has been absolutely bananas. One of the biggest benefits of home ownership being that it is one of the most traditional assets and wealth building strategies forever, right? People use real estate all the time as a wealth building strategy and investment vehicles to start long-term wealth. If you own the home, right? We were talking about renting versus buying. If you own the home and you decide that you no longer want to live in that home and have the capacity to purchase another one, you can then rent out to a renter your current home and move into and upgrade into another home. Okay, these are things that you can do to start to cash flow for you. Now, being the homeowner, we talked about the expenses. That was some of the cons, right? You have these other expenses that come into play when things break down. You've got to keep it updated, right? You've got to pay the HOAs and all those things too. You got to factor in these things when you're calculating your monthly mortgage payment. Will a renter be willing to pay what you need them to pay to cover all of your monthly expenses to live in that home? Okay, that's a big question and a big, you know, can you find that renter, that person? Typically speaking, yes, okay? There's people who do not want to buy a home when they get out here because they do not want to be attached to that large of an investment and have to come out here and take care of it, or they don't trust somebody to take care of it while they are not living here. Perfectly fine. I'm just putting that information out there because those are the types of situations, scenarios that we come across all the time as real estate professionals. Going back over some of the pros of owning a home, well, you get to make the home as you want it, okay? You can paint the inside, you can change the floors. There are some things that you do need to check with city to make sure that they are permitted, especially if you're trying to change the tax layout of the home and match the tax records. But you can pretty much customize the home the way that you like it, okay? As a renter, you cannot do that necessarily. You have to have permission and types of things to change even, you know, paint on one wall, those types of things. You're not putting money into somebody else's pocket as a homeowner. You're putting it hopefully back into your own, okay? People do tend to throw around the word investment when they're talking about living or buying a home as a primary residence. I still consider it an investment into your future because of the equity that you are building, and every time that you do an update into your home, that is what I consider an investment into the home to continue to build equity and increase in value. So I do still consider primary residences, my opinion, as investment vehicles. Whether you're looking to use it as your primary residence or not is solely up to you, but that is my view of that as an investment vehicle. Other pros is owning the land, okay? One of the other things about home ownership that I guess doesn't get talked about often enough, because we absolutely, first thing we see is the structure on the land. If you own a fee simple home, that's F-E-E, simple home out here in Hawaii, you own the land all the way to the Earth's center core and the air above it. That is fee simple ownership out here in Hawaii. We aren't making any more land. It's not happening. We don't do it. So one of the things, benefits, huge benefits of home ownership is owning a fee simple home out here is the land. Of course, the huge benefit of being a homeowner, you know, if you do end up wanting to sell your home later on after, you know, the value may have increased and you have built equity in all these things, and then you want to cash out. One of the huge benefits as a homeowner, as a renter, you can't do that. When you leave, you have paid cash to that homeowner, and they're cashing out on you. Just again, speaking from pain, right? We paid $48,000 over 2 years of a $2,000 rent to somebody else's home. That was $48,000 of our hard-earned money that we put in somebody else's pocket. That just sounds painful, right? Ouch. Like, ugh. But that's just something to put into perspective for you when you're considering renting versus buying, putting the money into somebody else's pocket. And if you have the capacity and you're capable, it's definitely something worth looking into. And again, not saying you need to do that right away when you get here, because we talked about the similar scenarios where people move out here for a job, for school, for their family, whatever the case may be, and they want to live in an area for a month, 6 months, or a year renting before they decide to make that big purchase, right? That second biggest decision of buying a home. If you enjoyed that video, we didn't get too technical into some numbers. We'll save that for another video. This was just to tell you, you know, some of the stories, some of the pain points, and to give you a real perspective on renting versus buying when you are already living out here in Hawaii, or even making that move out here and you have another huge decision to make. And again, we get people calling us, texting, email all the time about their move to Hawaii, considering making that purchase when they first get here, and we absolutely love it. You gotta shoot me that text, you gotta give me that call, however you wanna get a hold of me. All right, I got your back when moving to Hawaii. If you're interested in checking out some of the areas, some of the vlog tours, we got this really cool playlist that's gonna start popping up here at the end of this video. It's my Living in Hawaii playlist. We've got vlog tours, community vlogs. We've got some home tours and things for you to check out. You can go ahead and check out some of these videos that are gonna pop up right now.